Hey y'all, this is Remediation for Factoring. Make sure that you take notes throughout this video. So what are you going to learn in this video? You're going to learn how to find factors of a number, how to determine the greatest common factor, and then after this video, you should be able to factor trinomials, and then also factor polynomials by grouping. And then the thing that I highly recommend, and that you'll be able to do at the end of the video, is check your answer by multiplying it out. Okay, so the first quick review we're going to do is practicing finding factors of numbers. Factors are numbers that multiply to the number that you want. So factors of 24 are numbers that multiply to 24. Always go in order, so start with 1. So it should be 1 times 24 is 24. After the number 1 is 2, and we're going to check if there's a number that can multiply up. So 24 is an even number, so 2 times 12 is 24, 3 times 8, and 4 times 6. Normally, when the numbers get close together, that's when you know it's the end of finding the factors, okay? Don't repeat, so you don't want to write, oh, 6 times 4 is 24. We already have those two numbers here, so don't repeat. So these are all the factors of 24. The factors of 24 are 1, 24, 2, 12, 3, 8, 4, 6. All right, now the factors of 18. 1 times 18, 2 times 9 is 18, and 3 times 6. Again, those two numbers are pretty close together, and that's how you know you're near the end of finding the factors. All right, 13 is special because this is called a prime number. Okay, a prime number is where the only factors it has is 1 and itself. There's no other factors for 13. And then the last practice is the number 30. So 1 times 30 is 30. 2 times 15 is 30. 3 times 10 is 30. And then 5 times 6. Again, notice 5 and 6, those numbers are close together. So that's how I know it's the end of finding the factors. Okay. You do need to understand how to find the factors of numbers in order to factor trinomials and polynomials. Okay, the next quick review we're going to do is on simplifying fractions. Now you can use a TI-84 during your retake, but I highly recommend learning how to simplify fractions without relying on a calculator. So normally the easiest thing that you can do is if you have two even numbers, for example 6 and 8, all you have to do is half the number. So half of 6 is 3, and half of 8 is 4. And that is my simplified fraction. Now sometimes you have to do it multiple times. So for example, half of 12 is 6, and half of 16 is 8. Well, you can do it again. Half of 6 is 3, and half of 8 is 4. And that's your simplified fraction. So although it was 12 over 16 in the beginning, you simplified it down to 3 over 4. And in math, you always want your answer to be in the simplest form. All right, the next example is different because you don't have two numbers. We have a 9 and a 6. Okay, so if you can't do the half of each number, then try dividing each number by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. Now technically you use the same process on the other ones. When you're halving a number, you're dividing by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, 8 divided by 2 is 4. Whatever number you're dividing on top, you have to divide on the bottom. Okay? And then our last example is 15. You can't do half because 15 is an odd number. And then also you can't do 3. So we can't do divide by 3, divide by 3. 10 divided by 3, you can't. Okay, so When you have numbers that end in a 5 or end in a 0, you know that you can divide by 5. So 15 divided by 5 is 3, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. And that is your simplified fraction. Okay, now if you want to type this in your calculator, I do have an online graphing calculator, pretty cool. I know it looks a little bit different, but the buttons are the same. When you want to type a fraction in TI-84 calculator, let me bring it down a little bit. You need to click alpha, which is the green button, then click y equals, and then click enter. And then you could type whatever fraction you wanted, like 15 down 10 equals 3 over 2, and that's the one that we just did. So again, you click alpha, y equals, enter. Okay, now in this video we're learning about two types of problems, a trinomial and a polynomial. So trinomial is a problem that has 3 terms. Okay, 3 terms is just another way of saying it has 3 groups. Okay, so we have group 1, group 2, group 3. This is a trinomial. Polynomial means it has 2 groups or more, but in this case, for this test, all your polynomials are going to have 4 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. So for the trinomial, we're going to be using the ABC and the X game to solve. Polynomial will be solving by grouping, where we group up in 2 groups. Okay, and the trinomial one over here, it's also called slip, divide, slide. A lot of teachers don't like this method, and they do grouping for both, but I like to teach this method for trinomials and then this method for polynomials. So first we're going to be doing trinomials. These are the steps. I know it looks like a lot of steps. Once you get the hang of it, you won't even have to think about these steps, but we are going to fill out the blanks right now so that you can reference this when you're doing your practice problems at the end of this video. So the first thing that you need to do is step number 1 is to set the equation equal to 0. If the problem does not equal 0, you need to fix it, okay? In this case, both problems that we're doing today, technically they're equal to 0. Now you don't see an equal 0, but you could easily write it right here, okay? In the future, sometimes it won't equal 0. After that, you need to identify, let me make this bigger, you need to identify A, B, and C in your problem. So if we do it right here, so in this example, this is A, circle it, B, circle it, and C, circle it. The reason I'm making you circle it is a lot of times if there's a negative, if you don't circle it, you write the wrong number. So please write the 3 letters and circle. Okay. Step number 3 is you're going to draw an X. On top is A times C, and it better add to B. Now there is a song for this. It's A times C, better add to B. Woo! So we'll write that here with the example. So over here we're going to draw an X. A times C on top. It better add to B on the bottom. Okay, so we've done step 1, step 2, step 3. Now step 4, you need to write all the factors of the number in the top part of the X. Okay, so we're going to do that right now. The number that's on the top part is A times C. So A times C, 6 times 3 is 18. B is 11. So if we're finding all the factors of the top number here is 18. So let's find the factors of 18. 1 times 18, 2 times 9, and 3 times 6. Okay, so that is finding the factors. Okay, step number 5, we have to determine which pair of numbers add or subtract to the number on the bottom of the x. Okay, so we're going to do that step right now. So on the bottom, we have the number 11. So which two numbers here can add or subtract to 11? Okay, the answer is 2 and 9. If you add 2 plus 9 together, you're going to get 11. Okay, so we're going to write 2 and 9 here. Now, you can definitely check your answer. 2 times 9 is 18. 2 plus 9 is 11. So that answer is correct, 2 and 9. So that was step number 5. Now we're on step number 6. Write out your answer in 2 sets of parentheses. I'm going to go back. So I'm going to write 2 sets of parentheses and write my answer. So in this problem, we're using the variable x. So we have to put x here. And then we're going to put positive 2 and then positive 9. Okay, so I got these answers from over here. All right. Number 7 is don't forget to, I'm going to write it in pink, divide by a. Okay, this is basically the last major step is you have to divide by a. So don't forget that a is 6. So we need to divide by a. Okay, I'll even write it here. Divide by a. A is 6. The reason we're dividing by a is because we multiplied it by a in the beginning, so now we have to undo it. Okay, and the last 2 steps, you need to simplify the fractions. If you can't simplify the fractions, then you need to slide the bottom number in front of the fraction. So we're going to do these 2 steps next. So if I go to this answer, okay, and I have to simplify, we talked about simplifying fractions. So half of 2 is 1, half of 6 is 3. Okay, and 9 over 6, again, the 9 is not an even number, so you can't half it, but you can divide both by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. Okay, so we simplified the fractions. Now you just have to slide. So 1 over 3 you can't simplify anymore. So you're going to take the 3 and you're going to slide it in front. Take this 2 and slide it in front. So your final answer is 3x plus 1 and 2x plus 3. Now, I'm going to show you how you can check your answer. This is not required. Okay, 3x times 2x is 6x squared. 3x times 3 is 9x. 1 times 2x is 2x. And 1 times 3 is 3. We can combine the like terms, so it's 11x plus 3. Is this the original problem that we started with? Yes, it is. And that's how I know that this is the correct answer. Okay, now this is optional. You do not have to do this on the test, but this is a way that you can check if your answer is correct. Woo. Okay. Next problem. Take about 5 or 8 minutes and try this problem. So pause the video here, answer the questions, and then you can check your answer with my work. Okay, I'll explain this one quickly. So here I have a little bit of a pre-start, but A is 20, B is negative 13, and C is 2. So the first step is A times C, so 20 times 2 is 40, and B is negative 13. Now I'm going to find factors of the top number, which is 40. So I have 1 times 40, 2 times 20, 4 times 10, and 5 times 8. The only two numbers that can get you to 13 are 5 and 8. So 5 plus 8 is 13. Okay, but now we have to get the sign correct. There is a trick. If the bottom number is negative and the top number is positive, both your answers are going to be negative. Okay, so it should be negative 5 and negative 8. Well, let's check. Negative 5 times negative 8. This is true. It's positive 40. Negative times negative is positive. Negative 5 plus negative 8 is negative 13. So these are the correct answers. So we're going to put in the parentheses x minus 5, x minus 8. The next step is to divide by a, and a is 20. Okay, and then here we're practicing simplifying fractions. Okay, on this top one, we can half it. So half of 8 is 4, half of 20 is 10. On the other one, we can't. But remember, if ends in a 5 or a 0, you can divide by 5. So divide by 5. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. 20 divided by 5 is 4. Now, you will have to simplify one more time because half of 4 is 2 and half of 10 is 5. Okay, remember, when you're halving, you're dividing by 2 basically. Okay, and then the last step is to take the bottom number and slide in front. So your final answer is 4x minus 1 and 5x minus 2. Okay, now we have 2 more problems and we're almost done. So now we're going to be solving factoring of a polynomial by grouping. So the first set is you're going to draw 2 sets of parentheses. You need to determine that all of the factors of the first set of parentheses, which is the keyword. Okay? So let's start that on the first example. So step 1 was draw the parentheses. And then step 2 is find the factors of the first set of parentheses. So I like to draw T. Okay, so the first group is m squared. That means that we have 2 m's. The second group we have a 6. So I want us to write the factors of 6. 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. Don't forget the variable. We still have an m left over. Okay, so that was step 1 and step 2. So we did that and that. Step 3 is identify the GCF. GCF stands for greatest common factor. Okay, so the greatest common factor is the biggest thing that they have in common. So if we look at this, all they have in common in this case is an m. Unfortunately, they don't have any numbers in common. Okay, so you're going to write below that the GCF equals m. Okay, finding the GCF is one of the more difficult steps. Okay, so that was step number 3. Now you're going to underline what is left over. So basically what we're doing is we're taking the GCF out. So from that first group, we're going to do the leftovers. So leftover, we took one M out, so we have one M left over. And then since we took this M away, that means we have the 6 is left over. Okay, because we didn't take that 6 out. So that is step 4. Now we're doing step 5. You're going to write the GCF outside, and then you're going to write the leftovers inside the parentheses. Okay? So this is how I write it. I always write GCF outside, leftovers inside, and then draw parentheses here. So the GCF goes outside. Well, our GCF is M. Leftovers, I'm putting inside. So my leftovers is what's pink right here. So I have M. We're going to use the same sign, and then a 6 is left over. Okay? The next step is you're going to draw another set of parentheses, and you're going to copy the leftovers. So you're going to copy the leftovers right here, and then we have to find the outside. Okay, now the goal is we want to get this back to what it was. So how can I make the M turn back into negative km? Okay, that would mean that on the outside I have negative k, because if I multiply these together, that will bring me back to this. Okay, and then you can check. Negative k times n is negative km. Negative k times 6 is negative 6k. So that means that negative k is the correct part outside. Okay, and then your final answer is the outsides together and one copy of the insides. Okay, so we are putting the outsides together. Right, those are both outside. And then we're just going to take one copy of the insides. And this is your final answer. Now again, if you wanted to check, you could. So I'm going to show you how you can check your answer. This is from Algebra 1 where you're multiplying out. So m times m, m squared. M times 6, positive 6m. Negative k times m, negative km, negative k times 6, negative 6k. And if you look at that problem, this is exactly the same as the problem we started with, which means that the answer we found is correct. All right, here's example 2. Try on your own first, pause this video, and then you can check with my answer. Okay, here is the answer to example number 2. First, I did my 2 sets of parentheses, then I'm finding the factors of the first group. So the factors of 10 are 1 times 10, 2 times 5, I have 1a and n. Then over here, I have 5. So my factors are 1 times 5, and I have 1a. So what is the greatest common factor? The biggest number they have in common is 5. And they both have an a. So the GCF is 5a. Now remember, we write the GCF outside because that's what we're taking out. And then we're going to determine what's left over. So whatever is next to what you took out. So for example, we took out this 5, so next to it is what's left over. If we took out this 5, the 1's left over. And then also don't forget we still have an n, so we can't forget that. So the leftovers inside would be 2n. You're going to keep that same sign there, and then this 1. So I got this 2n goes here, and then this 1 goes there. Okay. The next step is to repeat the insides. So I'm going to do 2n minus 1. And then now all we have to do is find what are we taking out from the second group. So I have 2n and I want 10bm. I'm going to even write this down. I have 2n. I want 10bm. So what can you multiply by? Okay, so what can I multiply by 2 to get to 10? The answer is 5. So 5 times 2n would be 10n. So we're missing the b, so you just have to add it. Now you can get back to it. So 5b times 2n is 10bn. Okay, and you can even check the second part. 5b times negative 1 is negative 5b. So that's how we know that this is correct. Now all we have to do is we take the outsides together and then we do one copy of the insides. And that is your final answer. Okay, are you ready to retake? So you must now complete 6 practice problems without help before you're able to retake. Once you have finished watching this video, take in notes on the packet, and then finish the 6 practice problems, then you qualify to retake the exam. So remember, during this retake, you can use a TI-84 Plus calculator to find fractions, like simplifying them, and to find factors, but you cannot use Desmos. Good luck!